Ida for dropping our dinner on the ground and walking out when my boyfriend asked me what's for dinner tonight, bitch. I was over my boyfriend's apartment this weekend and I was cooking dinner because he was studying for exams. I made pasta and a chunky sauce with meatballs and veggies. I told him dinner was ready and he goes, "What's for dinner tonight, bitch?" with like a lot of emphasis on the last word. I was fed up. I'd had a pretty rough day with work and I have some awfully bad associations with that word being used by other people in my life who were pretty abusive. So I was so irritated that I dropped the pot of pasta sauce I'd been carrying right on the ground and was like, "Well, nothing's for dinner tonight now. And I'd better not hear you using that word again, it's for the girls." He was freaking out about how sauce had landed on his rug and he even said, "You're seriously acting like a bitch right now." I dunno what else to call it. I just walked out and got takeout for myself and went to my friend's house. She thought it was funny, but my boyfriend was furious. He kept texting and calling and sending me voice memos trying to explain that saying, "What's for dinner tonight, bitch?" was a TikTok trend and that he was just quoting something as a joke to put on TikTok. I thought that was the shittiest excuse ever. It doesn't matter if he saw it as a joke or stole the joke, it was still disrespectful. But it didn't change the fact he thought that shit was funny to demean me when I was trying to do him a favor. Like hell, I came over when he was studying to make a home-cooked dinner and he decides it's time for jokes? So I put my phone on don't disturb for the night and split a bottle of wine with my friend and her roommate. The next morning he was sending me angry texts demanding I clean his rug because he was too busy with exams to do it. I was shocked he left it overnight. "That's disgusting." I texted him back saying, "Yes, so that's the BTCH tax, honey, leave me alone till you're ready to handle your own cooking and cleaning, because this BTCH isn't anymore. Also, it's vile you left that soaking in all night." He called me and told me that he was okay with doing his own household work, but I did throw a full pot of sauce at the ground, so that's on me to clean up. I told him, "Yeah, no, I'm not comfortable doing chores for you if you see me like your bitch." He told me he didn't, and it was just a trend, and I got pissed off. He was playing that TikTok trend BS excuse again, and I told him, "Well, I'm starting a trend called saucing, where as a little joke people throw pasta sauce around. You can't be mad, because it's just a little trend, a little jokey joke, just a little prank, bro." Ida for how I reacted when my boyfriend asked me what's for dinner tonight, bitch.
Sounds like Op was definitely seeing red. When I first read this, I kind of thought Op overreacted. So I tried to think about how I would feel in her situation, and I realized I honestly have no idea. My husband and I tease each other all the time, but we also have a clearly unspoken line that we don't cross, and it comes somewhere before calling each other names like this. I was completely wrong when I thought Op overreacted. She has a right to be respected by her boyfriend, and he's clearly failing to do so. NTA. I googled the trend, and it is all about seeing how women react to a knowingly offensive comment. And usually, they are offended. "These jokes aren't funny." "Well, you reacted. He got his wish. Effed around and found out. He needs to grow up." NTA. I googled the trend, and it is all about seeing how women react to a knowingly offensive comment. And usually, they are offended. "These jokes aren't funny." "Well, you reacted. He got his wish. Effed around and found out. He needs to grow up." NTA. Nice job, BTW, and I love the saucing response. Go find someone whose maturity and sense of humor match yours. This one ain't it. It's not the sauce that's the problem. It's the whole man. Ida for telling my mom that I want very little to do with my new sibling. I, 18F, am the oldest of 5 siblings, with one more on the way. My brothers are 13 years, twins, 8 years, and 6 years. Our parents have been together since they were in high school. My dad was new to the country and didn't speak a lot of English, and my mom was one of the only people at their school who made an effort to welcome him. They are very much head over heels in love with each other. Lol, I don't think there's ever been a time where dad didn't look at mom like she hung the stars in the sky, or where mom didn't smile at him like he was the sun. I love my parents, and I love my brothers, but I would be lying if I said that living in a home with 7 people wasn't annoying. The twins share a room, the 8-yo and 6-yo share a room, I have my own room, and my parents have theirs. I genuinely have no clue where the new baby is going to go after they outgrow the bassinet in my parents' bedroom. It's sort of always chaotic at home with the boys running around, so usually if I have something important to do like studying or schoolwork, I go to the coffee place down the street to get it done. Lately though, my mom has been having a hard time. She's been on and off of bed rest since a little into her 2nd trimester, and since my dad has been working extra hours preparing for his promotion, I've had to help out a lot more. It's sort of always chaotic at home with the boys running around, so usually if I have something important to do like studying or schoolwork, I go to the coffee place down the street to get it done. Lately though, my mom has been having a hard time. She's been on and off of bed rest since a little into her 2nd trimester, and since my dad has been working extra hours preparing for his promotion, I've had to help out a lot more. I get 8-yo and 6-yo up in the morning, make breakfast, drive us to school, pick everyone up, cook dinner, and help the younger boys with their nighttime routine. I started picking up some extra chores too. My parents have never made me help out to this extent before. If this was temporary BC, my mom is sick, but I'm exhausted. Last night, I was sitting in my parents' bedroom with my mom, and she was thanking me for stepping up to help care for the boys. She said she knew I was going to be such an amazing help with the baby too. I didn't want to upset her or anything, but the idea of helping with a newborn after all of this just doesn't seem appealing. I assumed that once she had the baby and was off bed rest, I could just go back to being an older sister instead of an unofficial nanny. I told her that I would prefer it if I had very little to do with the baby at all when it comes to care. She looked kind of stunned by that, and she started to respond, but my brothers were calling for me, so I had to deal with them. By the time I got them settled, she was already asleep. I confided in a friend about it, and she gets it, but she also thinks I was kind of an off for telling a sick pregnant woman that I want very little to do with her baby at a time when she clearly needs support. Obviously, I think my mom deserves support, but I don't think I should be made to take care of a kid that I didn't make. Ick anymore. I feel kinda bad now. NTA, you already helped take care of your siblings, but your mom shouldn't even expect that of you. As you said, you are the older sibling, not the nanny. NTA, time to move out. You're 18 now, and I see her shifting a lot of the childcare onto you. If you don't leave soon, this will give her more space for baby as well, and you can be a sister to them, rather than a nanny. NTA, I think there needs to be a discussion about expectations in household chores. I wouldn't be surprised if there's sexism at okay, here you're female, so it's expected you'll pick up the housework slack. If they don't have them already, 13, 8 and 6 are old enough to shoulder some chores and help out. NTA. Do not let them tie you down with this child. It appears they already have with some of your other siblings. Fortunately, you're of age, and I assume you'll be moving out soon, which will give you the necessary distance to avoid going tied down with your soon-to-be sibling. You're not an off for wanting to set boundaries and not be made to take care of a child you didn't make. That's logical to feel that way. I don't know anyone that would want to feel that way. Nah, but I think it would be different if you were under legal adult age, would say NTA then. You can look at it as you're contributing to rent by helping out. If you really don't want to help out to any extent, maybe consider moving out on your own then. Ida for calling my husband's friend's dad to stop them from meeting. So my husband is recovering from heroin, and he decided to get drunk tonight. He was listening to loud music in our room, so I left to sit in the other room. A few minutes later I hear him on the gate, and I go out to see what's up, and he started acting very suspicious, hiding his phone, telling me to go inside, and he'll come back in a bit. Given his drug history, I'm usually very cautious about things like this. We come into our room, and he's got his back turned trying to do something on his phone. I ask him what's up, and he's like nothing, and then proceeds to make a call saying don't come, my wife knows. I take the phone from him, and check who he called last. It was a friend of his who is still doing heroin, and he is also the same person who brought heroin for my husband last week. He was clean for more than 6 months before that. And I had asked him to stay away from my husband nicely. I took control of the situation and brought him out of it in a few days, thank God. Anyways, after I saw his name on the screen, I got pissed. I called him twice, but he cut my call. He lives with his parents, so I called his dad and told him that I've asked your son to stay away, and he isn't listening to me. Please ask him to stop, while also profusely apologizing for calling like this. After the call ended, I sent him a text saying I'm sorry for doing this, and to save their son since he's still young, and to find it in his heart to forgive me for calling like this since he's my elder. After all this was over, my husband comes up to me and tells me that he never actually called him, he was just pretending to for some attention. Now I feel like the biggest asshole in the world for calling his friend's dad, and then texting him. I didn't even check to see if he actually called him or not. But I heard heroin and I lost my mind a little bit. I don't even want to think about how it was before. I guess I am the asshole, but how do I fix it? NTA, but I suspect this isn't real, because the way you found out who he called earlier in the story was by checking. Then later you said it turned out he didn't call, and you didn't think to check. NTA. If your husband wanted attention, he can ask, not faking going mate to an addiction, and making it look painstakingly real. Either way, you did a good thing, protecting your husband and potentially saving his friend. But you should talk to him about it. It's not safe for him to pretend to go back to an addiction for attention. NTA. It's also time for you to leave him, or kick him out, whichever is easier for you. He needs to know that you are not tolerating lies, enabling addiction, or willing to expose yourself to the dangerous people that inevitably show up with drugs like that sooner or later. Well, it is appropriate for you to support his sobriety. His sobriety is not your job to manage. Having to check phones, because you know he's gaslighting. That's crazy making. It's not healthy to live in that. If he says he'll go right back to the heroin for sure if you leave him, your response should be, then you were only ever sober for me, not because you wanted to be sober for yourself, and your sobriety would have given out anyway because you still don't see it as a problem. It's time for brute force accountability. NTA, your husband did call this guy. It was in his call log, which you saw with your own eyes. It might not have been about heroin, but if it looks like a duck. I normally don't advocate pulling parents into their adult children's affairs, but if someone who lived under my roof was using heroin, I sure as shit would want to know. I think asking the dad to keep his son away from your husband might be a little bit much. It's not the dad's job to worry about your husband's drug addiction, but since the actionable information for him is that his son, who lives at home, is using heroin, I'm going to give it a pass. You're letting a drug addict gaslight you. Where is your support network? Do you have one? You need to take care of yourself before you can take care of your husband.